All right, this is probably one of the most brutal White House meetings I have ever seen. This is definitely the most brutal I have seen since Vladimir Zelensky met with Trump, and Trump absolutely destroyed him in the White House, telling him essentially, listen, you're not being grateful. What does the United States get out of this? You need to figure this situation out. People are dying. We've got to come to a solution. And this has become pretty much Trump's brand at this point. He is not being polite. He's being realistic. He's bringing these world leaders into the Oval Office, and he's telling them, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we are seeing over here in the United States, in the Western countries. What's up with this? We need to figure this out now. And he just did this with the South African president. Trump confronts South African president with white genocide claims in the Oval Office. President Trump confronted South African President Cyril Ramaphosa with claims that the country's black majority government is carrying out a genocide of white farmers, ordering the Oval Office's lights to be dimmed to show an inflammatory video detailing purported evidence of crimes against humanity. And Peter Doocy here, before we get into what Trump did, this action that he took while hosting the South African president, I want you to see Peter Doocy's reaction to this meeting because it's perfect. Take a listen.
It's worth pointing out that is definitely the most awkward Oval Office meeting since Zelensky was here. It ended a little bit better because I can see the vehicle. It is not leaving. The South African delegation is not leaving early. They will be sticking around for lunch. But really, when you watch that, it seems like the Trump foreign policy doctrine is a lot like the old slogan for the MTV show The Real World, where people stop being polite and start getting real. And that's what we just saw from President Trump.
And that's why we love it. We have too much politeness. We need more realness. We need to get kind of down to business with these people. And that's what Donald Trump did here. President Trump just directly confronted the president of South Africa with videos of his government calling for white genocide. He tells the White House staff to turn the lights down, and then he plays a video for him. Take a look.
Turn the lights down. Turn the lights down, and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa, occupy land.
So he had them wheel in this TV here, and this video goes on for a while. It's a collage. And from what I understand, the white South African farmers in South Africa, they go under the term of Boer. And these political parties will dance around and call for the extermination of the Boer. And you see in these videos, I mean, it's a pretty striking scene of some of them, hundreds of thousands of people dancing around screaming, "Kill the Boer." This is one of these videos. So I'm not going to play this whole thing. I do want to kind of fast forward it here, and I want to go to this split cut of the South African farmer here watching this. Can you imagine? He's probably like, oh man. He's kind of like this. He's kind of like this guy right here. This is the best meme I saw. South African president. There is no genocide president happening. President Trump plays video showing genocide for 6 minutes. South African president has this face right here. And this went on for several minutes, and I'm going to fast forward to kind of the end here.
Now this is very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross, and there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. And those cars aren't driving. They're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who was killed. And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it. Both sides of the road, you have crosses.
So this video that he's referring to is a video of, it shows basically a highway that's backed up with thousands of cars, and there are crosses along the road, and each one of these crosses represents a member of, I guess, the Boers, the white farmers that were killed by for political reasons. But I did want to show you, this is, I mean, kind of give you a better example of what's going on here. So this is a major political party in Africa chanting "kill the Boer," and you watch this, it's pretty chilling. I mean, in the United States, we have racial tensions, but these racial tensions are nothing compared to this. You have racism being so diluted to the point where we have microaggressions now. You say a thing a certain way, or you say something that could mean something else, or you have dog whistles. That's what MSNBC, these leftist news stations, that's what they like to focus here in the United States, because, I mean, racial stuff here in the United States are like, compared to other parts of the world, are nothing. But when it comes to something in South Africa, when you have these blatant slogans and these chants, they're pretty striking. And the funny part about it is the left-wing media is not calling this out. In fact, they say that this chant is just a historic chant. I'll show you here in a second where the New York Times did a whole piece on this, saying that it doesn't mean what they're saying it means. It has a historical meaning, and they try to obfuscate it to make it look better. But you watch it, and you be the judge. Remember, Boer means white farmer. Take a look.
Alliance shoot to kill Yamaza, kill the poor, the farmer, kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa. Attention.
So, you be the judge. You tell me, do you think that is something that class of people would be comfortable with? If there was a major party in the country in which they reside, gathering hundreds of thousands of people to jump around and call for their death, if I lived there, I would probably want to get out of there as soon as possible, especially considering I wanted to give you a better view of this video that showed these crosses. This is the highway that was backed up with cars, and you see these crosses on either side of the road. Each one of these crosses represents a white farmer that was killed in South Africa. And you look at that in context with what you just saw, I would come to the conclusion that this is a huge problem, and this is not something that should be acceptable. Donald Trump also, and this is probably the most striking visual from this meeting in the Oval Office. Not only did he show the political parties calling for the death of these white farmers, not only did he show the visual of these cars on the highway paying respects to all of the deceased or murdered white farmers, he also brought out a stack of photos. And one by one, he goes through them and he confronts the South African president with each one of these faces. And he says, this is another death, and another death, and another death. Take a look.
That we've just seen on the screen.
I don't know. Look, these are articles over the last few days. Death of people. Death. Horrible death. Death. I don't know. To pick anyone. White South Africans are fleeing because of the violence and racist laws, and this is all. I mean, I'll give these to you. So when you say what would I like to do, I don't know what to do. Look at this. White South African couple say that they were attacked violently.
This is the way right here.
Well,
National TV, you call them out. I absolutely love this.
White white farmers that are being buried, and he asks about a jet that was given. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know, you are so bad. You're such a bad reporter. This is one after another.
So absolutely incredible. And that little exchange he had with that reporter was a reporter for NBC that asked him about a Qatari jet that the Pentagon was going to be accepting from Qatar. And he's like, listen, we're here talking to the South African president about a genocide, a white genocide in South Africa. And you're asking about a jet. And he got into him. But he also had a quick exchange with the South African president about this. And the president of South Africa denies this. He says, well, there are political parties that do this, X, Y, and Z, and there is definitely crime, blah, blah, blah. You know, essentially trying to water it down to make it look like he doesn't have any culpability. Take a look.
In the parliament. And they're a small minority party, which is allowed to exist in terms of our constitution.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can take land.
And then when they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No, there is
nothing happens to them.
There is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately, through criminal activity, are not only white.
And what do you think starts that criminality? What ideology do you think feeds that criminality? I would argue that when you have a political party calling together people and jumping around and having this type of slogan to kill the white farmer, that could be a fertile ground for this criminality or these criminal gangs that go out and commit these atrocious acts. But I think what's even worse, I mean, I don't want to say worse than that because that's obviously the worst, but what's absolutely disgusting about this whole situation is the fact that the media here in the United States is not calling this out. In fact, they are coming to the defense of these political parties in South Africa, such as this slogan that was created by this political party, "Kill the Boer." This is an article. It's not a recent article. It's several years old, a few years old, where New York Times actually released this article defending this slogan, saying that it's the right wing has taken this out of its historical context. Can you imagine if there was a political party in the United States that called for the extermination of a certain racial group of people in the United States? MSNBC, CNN would have an absolute fit. They would not like this. This would be the worst thing ever. You couldn't tell me that they would ever try to put any sort of slogan that calls for a racial extermination. They would never try to put it into any kind of context other than what the slogan says. This article says right-wing commentators claim that an old anti-apartheid chant is a call to anti-white violence, but historians and left-wing politicians who embrace it say it should not be taken literally. So you're not supposed to take this slogan literally, even when you put it into context with all the white farmers that are being killed in South Africa. You're still not allowed to take this literally. Why? Well, I would argue because the people that are chanting this are not the typical type of people that you see mainstream media demonizing for having racial hatred. Obviously, I think that's obvious. But I'm not going to go through this whole article. I did want to show you kind of the perspective the mainstream media has on this and why they are not on Trump's side in this situation. Because, I mean, first of all, it's Trump. He's trying to use this as a way to lower tensions in South Africa between two diametrically opposed groups. And the mainstream media does not want Trump to get a win at all. They just want to attribute racism to him because he's paying attention to this very important issue that just so happens to involve white people. And whenever you try to help white people or whenever white people are victimized, that means you are racist because you are trying to ensure that these white people are not victimized. That is the convoluted ideology of the left, unfortunately. But what do you guys think? Did you enjoy that meeting with Donald Trump and the South African president? I thought it was incredible. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. But until then, I'll see you on the next one.